I will not solely focus on the coronavirus pandemic since it is simply history repeating itself. Now, the Black Death of 1347 to 1351 perhaps killed 135 million people, or perhaps one-third of Earth's population. Records were less reliable back then. It was not a virus per se, but caused by a microorganism nonetheless, specifically the bacterium Yersinia pestis, which resulted in bubonic, pneumonic, and septicemic plague. It likely originated in China like the coronavirus did. It also started with animals like the coronavirus. However, the Black Plague started with fleas living on rats, which rats traveled on merchant ships to ports throughout Europe, while the coronavirus started with bats. The plague returned sporadically from 1400 to 1700 to kill a couple million more people. Like the Black Plague, the coronavirus depended on a human having come into close contact with an original animal host, then that person having close contact with other people who then traveled far distances so the virus could spread throughout the globe. Minus that, this pandemic would be impossible. Coronaviruses were first discovered in the 1960s in chickens, but the specific disease involved in the current pandemic, as I stated, apparently started with bats. The precise microbe which causes this COVID-19 disease is the SARS-CoV-2 virus. The AIDS crisis also started with animals, in that case monkeys. However, a stupid rumor went around that AIDS began because men had sex with monkeys. That's no more likely than the Black Plague having started with a man mating with a rat, or the coronavirus having started with a man having sex with a bat. The consensus among the scientific community is AIDS started with monkeys infected with SIV. Chimpanzees killed and ate the infected monkeys, and the SIV turned into HIV in their system. African men then killed and ate the chimpanzees, thus acquiring the HIV virus, which causes AIDS, acquired immune deficiency syndrome. The earliest personally identified man known to have carried AIDS was, at least in America, was Canadian flight attendant Gayton Dugas. His job took him all over the world, where he had sex with an infected African man. From there, he continued to be wildly promiscuous with men throughout the globe. The AIDS crisis is the fault of him and those like him. Certainly, sexual promiscuity will put one at major excessive risk for whatever pandemic is a current threat, whether AIDS, the Black Plague, coronavirus, or something else. The international travel by itself posed a risk. That's why when countries allowed open borders, the coronavirus spread. Per countries that closed their borders, the coronavirus was stymied. No pandemic would ever exist without international trade and globalization. They would only be epidemics. So segregation must replace liberal political correctness or else. Yet AIDS, deadly as it was, could not be caught from toilet seats, shaking hands, or other casual contact. So common sense says that neither can a coronavirus. You would have to have an infected person cough or sneeze on you, share food, drink, or utensils, be in their presence, or share air ducts with them for long periods, and of course intimate contact. The virus is not caught through non-infected people, through keyboards, or through random gusts of wind. Just avoid close proximity to strangers or infected family members or friends. Regularly wash your hands and be vaccinated. This was also true for the 1918 to 1920 Spanish flu pandemic, where everyone wore all the masks, just like in the coronavirus. As far as those who consider the coronavirus pandemic to have been a hoax, that's just plain idiotic. Then there are those who think that they cannot catch certain diseases because they are strictly quote-unquote gay diseases, or that God would not allow their wonderful self to catch it. But as for AIDS, it now predominantly infects straight people. People did not learn that lesson and now act as if the monkeypox virus only affects gays. Consequently, it will affect straight people en masse. Sinners, repent of your self-righteousness. Ultimately, our primary fear should never be something physically deadly, since we're all going to die eventually anyway. Our fear should be not being right with God before we die. So let's make that our priority.